California teacher slams Black student's head on a desk. I don't remember teachers like this, but apparently they're out there. Let's give you the background. Federal lawsuit filed by a recent high school graduate in Northern California who claims a culture of racism was encouraged by teachers and administrators. The alleged incidents took place at Pierce High School in Arbuckle, Cali. Student filing the suit says that during his 4 years at Pierce High, there were only 3 Black students. So that sets the table, if you will. Jalen Escobosa, 18 years old, Black, Hispanic man who wrapped up his studies at the school earlier this year, alleges that during his time as a student, he and other children of color were subjected to numerous incidents of racist behavior, including an alleged assault by a teacher on Escobosa himself. Atlantic Black Star is filling in the details for us. School staff allegedly allowed similar appalling behavior among white students, some reportedly using the slur N-berries to refer to watermelons, the lawsuit claims. White students also allegedly called Hispanic students who ate the school lunch broken A beans. So we kind of, school was hard perhaps for a lot of us. It's a rite of passage to grow, learn, navigate peers, if you will, in new environments. You're away from your parents, and it's time to have a little autonomy. But this is another matter, isn't it? This is something else.
With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show.
And there's more. He was allegedly assaulted by a social studies teacher inside the school. The details on that one. The action also claims that during the 2021-2022 school year, Scott Burnham, social science teacher at Pierce, assaulted then 16-year-old Escobosa by slamming his head into a desk, leaving him bloodied. Following the incident, Burnham allegedly approached Escobosa in the hallway and offered compensation for his injuries in an apparent attempt to silence him. The lawsuit alleges that Burnham called Escobosa's father and admitted things got out of control. That's the quote inside the paperwork. Escobosa's father then called the principal about the incident, but no action was ever taken. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. This kid is bloodied. The alleged perp is offering money for this assault, as it's spelled out here. And once the principal learns of it, nothing is done. Surely that must be a mistake. We'll get to the bottom of it. It can't be right. According to Escobosa's attorney, Brad Gage, Burnham begged and pleaded with the family not to report the alleged assault to police. Now, I'm no lawyer, but that to me says I'm culpable, okay? I think there's some kind of terminology in the law where if you are begging someone not to come forward, it's like, hey, when you flee, that's got to be factored into the whole guilt phase, because it's said that innocent people don't flee. That's not always the case, though. We know that. Some people are afraid of the police. But anyway, a year ago, August 2023, Burnham reportedly used a racial slur in class targeting another Black student. Despite both incidents, Burnham continues to teach at Pierce High School without facing any disciplinary actions, the lawsuit states. Now, in a separate incident, John Allen, math and science teacher, allegedly racially profited and harassed Escobosa by repeatedly calling him hoodlum for wearing a hoodie. Escobosa seeks civil penalties, punitive damages, and coverage for attorneys and litigation costs. So attorneys' fees, litigation costs, he wants it all. Blame him. While asking for a trial by jury, his attorney Brad Gage gave this statement. Lawsuits generally just say according to proof, but obviously when you have a situation of a youngster, and now young man who has been subjected to physical assault from a teacher, all kinds of terrible statements from teachers because of his race, that's going to have an impact on him for the rest of his life, Gage said. Pierce Joint Unified School District Superintendent Carol Geyer, Pierce High School Principal Don Friel have not commented on the matter. I mean, what what could they really say here? If this any part of this is true, it's with regret, and we've got to start from the beginning. We've got to tear everything down and build it up again in a much better, much more empathetic form. But Dina, I want you to weigh in on your initial thoughts here. This isn't the first time we've covered something like this on Indisputable, where it seems that this is systemic. Not many people of color in the school, they're targeted. They are, in this case, allegedly assaulted, and everybody's still in place, apparently doing whatever they wish to do.
Yeah, I always like coming on because I feel like there's always a focus on the children on this show.
Yeah.
And out there, not many people talk about what's happening with kids. And I think that they are by far the most vulnerable in our society. And teacher has so much control over a student in that classroom. Like you don't have the kind of rights as you do outside the school. So here in this situation, I mean, the family is making a Title IV claim, saying that there's a racially hostile environment. They're saying a claim under the 14th Amendment on equal treatment, as well as negligence with the hiring. Based on the facts that we're hearing, they seem like they have a fairly strong case, especially because of the fact that they reported it and nothing was done. Because that's where you really get like the negligence and the hostile environment, because it's hard to control, let's say, somebody's saying something bad, and then if the school were to come in and rectify it, discipline the teacher, do training, et cetera, then it's harder to say you have this racially hostile environment or negligence. But here, when they've reported it, they said both to the superintendent and to the principal, and nothing was done. That fact makes it what makes this case strong legally. I mean, the facts are kind of horrible to listen to. The fact that any kid has to go through this, or multiple kids, it sounds like, that has to go through this. I mean, they're trying to learn here. I don't see how you can learn when somebody is treating you this way. And then on top of it, the powers that have authority over these teachers are doing nothing. And that's definitely where they have to step in. So it's a shame that any family has to expend the time and the resources, and the money to enforce the school for doing the right thing. But I do think that this was that they have a strong case based on what we've heard so far.
Yeah, and something that I'm zeroing in on, and you tell me if it makes any legal difference, if you glean anything from it, but this family, this now young man, waited until he graduated to file this. And to me, as a layperson, that means you better not do it while you're still there. Get your diploma. You feel like you're under threat and danger, if you will, every day. And so I don't know if it means anything legally, but they've asked for a trial by jury. If I were seated on that jury, that's something that would pop in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I do think it's very hard for a child to report instances with their teachers. I mean, even for boys or girls, harassment, sexual harassment of teachers, it happens. It happens in these high schools. But kids, they want to be able to get a passing grade. They know that teacher is the one responsible for that. And they don't want to make that teacher mad at them. A teacher has so much power, so much ability to exert retribution based on if you reported the teacher. So it's a sad fact, but it is the construct in which those kids are going to school, that they are being asked to stand up to the very people that has so much power over them. So it makes sense to wait after he graduated.
Yeah. And it also, we hear a lot of times lawyers say in cases that, this is going to affect my client for the rest of their lives. A lot of times it's true. Sometimes it's a stretch. Here, I remember my first grade teacher. I remember my high school teachers. I remember if I had a positive or negative experience, like teachers are up here to so many of us. And I think it's real in this case, and damages for not feeling protected in what's supposed to be an opportunity to grow and learn, this safe space, that should be looked at for additional damages. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I think that is definitely something that they will be able to argue, that he wasn't able to get the kind of education he would have gotten if he could have just been able to focus on school instead of been in this hostile environment, having to deal with physical abuse, emotional abuse, the racism. It's a very strong argument because, especially when you have like somebody who is in school and they have their whole earning capacity, because that's where that comes in, is damages are based on, did you limit
Wow.
somebody's earning capacity? It sounds very capitalistic, and it is. You could argue against it, but that's how our damages system works. Did you affect that person's earning capacity? You could also argue like emotional distress, but the reference that the attorney was making about this affecting him so much because he was a young person with his whole life. They were really talking about his earning capacity and career. Did he not go to college, or did he not apply to a certain college because he kind of at that point, was having such a hard time, even in his current classes? All of that will come in
Mhm.
when they start asking for damages.
Yeah, now you've got me thinking about recommendations and the whole thing that we
Yeah.
depend on teachers in high school. So it's a story we're going to keep following. Again, the lawsuit filed, no response yet from the school district. And that's telling. They'll tell us that they can't respond to things because of pending litigation, but they respond to things all the time. It's just they don't respond to things they don't want to. Not yet. We'll stay on it.